Number 10. Hayley Renault. Hayley Renault had a bright future ahead of her when she landed a job as a gym teacher and a basketball coach at a high school in Illinois. But the 22-year-old veered from her promising path in 2019 when they accused her of having an inappropriate relationship with a student. Details are scarce, presumably to protect the victim, who was 16 years old. Police disclosed Hayley held a position of trust, authority, or supervision over the vulnerable adolescent. After learning that she was under investigation, she resigned from her position at the school. Police charged her with criminal sexual assault, and she ended up pleading guilty to the lesser charge of criminal sexual abuse of a person over 5 years younger. A judge sentenced Hayley to 90 days in jail and almost 2 years of probation. She had to perform community service as part of her punishment and was also required to register as a sex offender. WCHS Superintendent Dr. Kyle Freeman released this statement. On August 5, 2019, Washington High School officials were notified by law enforcement officials that a former employee, Hayley Renault, has been arrested for a crime relating to an inappropriate relationship with a student of the high school. Ms. Renault resigned from employment with the high school on July 29, 2019. The Department of Children and Family Services has been made aware of the matter. The student's family has been contacted, and school officials have no reason to believe that any other students were affected. Ms. Renault will not return to Washington High School. Number 9. Melody Lippert and Michelle Guerrelli. Toward the end of 2014, a pair of Los Angeles area high school teachers made headlines for blurring the lines between their personal and professional lives in alarming and possibly illegal ways. It all started when 38-year-old Melody Lippert and 30-year-old Michelle Guerrelli, who taught English together, went camping at the beach with a group of male students from the school. The event sparked rumors of partying and inappropriate physical interactions. An investigation found that Lippert had gotten close with a man 18 years old and therefore of the legal age to consent. Acting under pressure from her colleague, Guerrelli crossed similar lines with another student. But he was only 17, which made the teacher's behavior a crime. They charged her accordingly when they accused Lippert of contributing to the delinquency of a minor by coercing the pair to engage in illicit acts with each other. Detectives discovered Lippert had previously met up with a group of male students similarly. Guerrelli, who was working on her master's degree and coached the school's junior varsity softball team when the horrifying allegations came to light, wasn't at the first party. The women accepted a plea deal that spared them from having to register as sex offenders but permanently stripped them of their teaching credentials. They were both sentenced to probation and community service. Through their lawyers, Lippert and Guerrelli expressed deep remorse for their actions. Deputy District Attorney Kristen Brassick told MyNewsLA.com that the ordeal was harmful to everyone involved, including the young men who were left feeling mortified and humiliated over the unwanted attention that the case brought to them. Number 8. West Virginia Football Brawl. Two Pee Wee football teams in West Virginia were about to shake hands at the end of a game after playing against each other in 2018, when the peaceful interaction suddenly erupted into violence. Elementary school-aged players from Dickinson County and Wise County lined up and were ready to bid one another farewell when parents and adult members of the coaching staff began exchanging heated words. It quickly escalated into shoving and blows, while most of the children looked helplessly on. Some players jumped into the fray and tried peeling the adults off each other. Others were crying and scared. It wasn't the type of behavior they were used to seeing from the mentors they looked up to. Police were called to the scene, but they made no arrests, and thankfully there were no serious injuries. Number 7. Andrew Carter McCown. Sergeant Crystal Fletcher of the Hewitt, Texas Police Department was on patrol recently when she saw a pickup truck swerving in the road late at night. When she pulled him over, she noticed that the driver, a 25-year-old local high school math teacher named Andrew Carter McCown, smelled strongly of booze and that he was slurring his speech. McCown, who coaches the football and track teams at the school where he teaches, reportedly said that he drank 3 beers with his dinner that evening. Police took him into custody after failing a field sobriety test. A breathalyzer measured his blood alcohol level at twice the legal limit. McCown also admitted that there were 2 guns in his truck. Even if he's licensed to carry firearms, it's against the law for someone to do so when they're drunk. He's free on bond totaling $2,000 and faces charges of driving while intoxicated and unlawful carrying of a weapon. School Superintendent Michael Hope released a statement acknowledging the district's awareness of the arrest. He said that the school would consult with its legal service providers to determine the appropriate course of action. Number 6. Juwan Howard. Michigan Wolverines basketball coach Juwan Howard recently struggled to maintain his composure following a game against the Wisconsin Badgers. He was angry that Wisconsin had called a timeout with just 15 seconds left in the game, especially since the team was already winning by a long shot. During the post-game handshake, Howard refused to shake hands with Badgers coach Greg Gard and also made some inflammatory comments, sparking an argument between the two. Things got even more heated when Gard touched Howard. Howard then slapped the assistant coach, Joe Krabenhoft, across the face with an open hand. Many players got involved on both sides, leading to all-out chaos on the court. In the aftermath of the completely needless and avoidable fight, some called for Howard to be fired. Others felt that firing the man would be an excessive punishment. After all, the Big Ten had already suspended Howard for the rest of the season, including the most important games. They also hit him with a $40,000 fine for his behavior. Many people feel these consequences are harsh enough, and that the incident shouldn't cost Howard his job. The NCAA suspended a few players for 1 game for their role in the fight, and they fined Gard $10,000. Shortly after being suspended, Howard issued a heartfelt apology. He promised to learn from it and never repeat his mistake. Number 5. Samuel Fisher. 33-year-old Samuel Fisher is a self-proclaimed dating coach who, until recently, lived on Manhattan's Upper East Side. He ran a YouTube channel under the name Brad Holiday, where he posted videos advising men on how to get high-value girls. Based on the man's beliefs, it seemed to many as though his goal was to help his clients find female partners who hadn't been ruined by feminism. Fisher also advertised an online class called the Attraction Accelerator. For $150, the lessons promised to put clients in the fast lane to finally getting what they wanted from women. Besides touting his skills as a so-called pickup artist, Fisher dedicated a lot of time to his political views. The frequent ramblings on his Brad Holiday blog suggest that the man's beliefs became increasingly far-right-leaning, misogynistic, anti-Semitic, and conspiracy-based. In a disturbing demonstration of his arguably extreme views, Fisher took part in the attack on the US Capitol in early 2020. The night before the riot, he wrote the event would be the most historically important day of our lives. A few weeks later, authorities found a trove of illegal weapons in Fisher's apartment, including an AR-15 assault rifle, an untraceable ghost pistol, a shotgun, and more. He's currently serving 3.5 years behind bars for allegedly taking the weapons to Washington, D.C., intending to cause harm. Number 4. John Benton. In late March, the New Jersey State Police pulled over 58-year-old John Benton, who's an assistant coach for the New York Jets football team. It started as a simple traffic stop in Morristown just before midnight, but ended in a DUI charge after the police noticed Benton seemed intoxicated. They processed and released him, and the case is still working its way through the court system. At the time of the arrest, Benton was entering his second season as the team's offensive line coach. He's worked with several teams since starting his career with the NFL in 2004. The Jets' head coach, Robert Saleh, described the ordeal as something that everyone can learn from. He pointed out how easy it is to get an Uber instead of driving drunk, and clarified that Benton knows he made a mistake. It's unclear whether Benton will face any major consequences relating to his job, but they could punish him under the NFL's personal conduct policy. Number 3. Barbara Meyer Guston. In one of the most disturbing criminal cases to make headlines so far this year, a woman violently attacked an 87-year-old singing coach named Barbara Meyer Guston out of nowhere on a New York City sidewalk. She was waiting for a taxi in Manhattan's Chelsea neighborhood one night in early March to go see one of her students perform. Suddenly, someone charged at the elderly woman from behind and shoved her. She fell to the ground and smacked her head against the pavement, leaving her with a large, bloody gash. As she waited for emergency responders to arrive, Guston told a friend that nobody had ever hit her so hard before in her life. Police arrived just in time to get a description of the attacker before the ailing singing instructor lost consciousness. They rushed Barbara to the hospital, where doctors treated her for brain trauma, but she died from her injuries a few days later. It was already disturbing enough that Guston was in the wrong place at the wrong time and paid for it with her life. But things got even more bizarre when a 26-year-old woman named Lauren Pazienza turned herself into the police 2 weeks after Barbara's murder. She faces a manslaughter charge. The suspect's motives for attacking an innocent old lady out of nowhere remain unclear. Pazienza's lawyer, Arthur Aidala, told the Daily Mail that his client is a good person who's being accused of something awful and that she's devastated by the ordeal. But people from the woman's past painted a much different picture, describing Pazienza as violence-prone, emotionally unstable, and dangerous. Sources also said that the suspect completely lacks empathy and never showed remorse for any of her past wrongdoings. Neighbors called Pazienza the poster child of white privilege and showed reporters a disturbing video of the woman mocking deaf people by contorting her face, screeching, and speaking in a distorted voice. She also allegedly described her parents as stupid and basic, despite the affluent upbringing they provided her with, and many times they helped their daughter out of many situations. Do these unappealing qualities make Lauren Pazienza a killer? Possibly not, but the things people are saying about her cast doubt on any claims about her being a good person with respectable morals. Number 2. Pete Walker. Shortly after midnight on March 26th, sheriff's deputies in Pinellas County, Florida, clocked a passing car at 82 miles an hour, 132 kilometers an hour, in a 45 mile an hour, 72 kilometers an hour zone. Deputies pulled the vehicle over and administered a field sobriety test to 52-year-old Pete Walker, who coaches the Toronto Blue Jays Major League Baseball team. Walker failed the test and allegedly admitted to having 4 beers at a bar and eating facility before getting behind the wheel. In the arrest affidavit, a deputy noted the suspect smelled strongly of alcohol and had poor balance. His eyes were glassy and bloodshot. After learning of the arrest, Blue Jays manager Charlie Montoyo confirmed Walker would keep his job as the team's pitching coach, a position he's held since 2013. Montoyo said that the organization was still gathering information about what happened, but he declined to comment further, out of respect for the legal process. Walker also released a statement apologizing to the Blue Jays, the team's fans, and his family. He said that he was working with his lawyer to resolve the matter and that he had no further comment beyond that. Number 1. Lace Coulter. A high school teacher and girls basketball coach in Macon County, Tennessee, made a potentially career-ruining mistake recently when she got arrested for buying methamphetamine in the school's parking lot. Police set up a sting to catch Lace Coulter after witnesses reported seeing her purchase drugs earlier that week. Police approached her outside the school after watching her engage in what looked like a drug transaction and found a gram of meth wrapped in a $1 bill. Authorities accused Coulter of paying for the drugs through a cash app, and she faces several charges, including buying drugs in a drug-free zone. She has worked as a teacher and athletic coach for the last 5 years, and she was employed at her alma mater, Red Boiling Springs High School, for the last 2 years. During her high school days, Coulter was a star basketball player and one of the district's top scorers of all time. Sadly, she's also now going to be remembered for the unflattering situation that her poor decisions have landed her in. But now her future remains uncertain. The school suspended Coulter until further notice and must now find a qualified basketball coach to replace her on short notice as some important end-of-season games approach. Thanks for watching. Would you rather coach a high school basketball team for a season with no experience, or pay to get your best friend out of jail only for them to jump bail? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe for more amazing videos.